Who's setting the daily rate? Is this a computerized program that's like what they do in multifamily where it's constantly updating by the hour, or is it by the day or the week?
You're not going to believe this. It is crazy. So the biggest brands, Hilton and Marriott, you have to set your rates through their systems.
And they charge you for that.
Yeah, they charge you, but the systems are so antiquated. Like they have like rate bucket categories. So like, maybe they have 8 rate categories, $100, $120, $130, not like that incremental stuff. So we have people, revenue managers that are literally looking at data and information and changing those rates hour by hour and daily. But I think this is such a big opportunity for AI to layer on heavily. So someone's overseeing it and viewing it, but they're pulling in data from thousands of different sources to inform what these rates should be. Like, I don't know, Google movement data. If there's a snowstorm and the airport's closed, like it should automatically trigger, jacked up rates. The other thing that we see in hospitality, it's hard to figure out what other hotels are charging because the rate that you see on a website is the rate that like Chris is getting booking the same day of, but it's not the rate that they might be charging to the Chris Powers conference that's booked in the hotel. So it's really hard to know what their occupancy is and what their rate is. And there's services that you can get maybe on a 24-hour basis, on a weekly basis, monthly basis to see how you're competing. But there's still a lot of challenges to setting rate, and that's the biggest opportunity.
That's crazy to me because you said that Hilton uses, I know the multifamily, I can't remember what it's called. It's called something Star or something, but it changes them by the minute. You said KPIs. I know what's RevPAR?
Revenue per available room.
Isn't that like KPI?
This is the big metric. So it's not just revenue per available room, but you want to look at what your revenue per available room is compared to your other hotels that you're competing against. And revenue per available room is made up of your rate and your occupancy. You just multiply the two and you get RevPAR.
Yeah.
The index is how you compete against the others. So 100% is you're getting your fair share of the business. 120%, you're getting like 20% more than the business. So you want to be above 100%. If you're not above 100%, you got to try and figure out why. And that comes back to like good old sales and revenue management technology. But that's the measure that I look at every month to figure out if my team is doing what they're supposed to be doing or if we have a problem.
Is there anything else you look at? Like obviously that tells a story of what's going on. Then you dive deeper into if there is an issue, but what other KPIs, especially at these more commoditized hotels, would they be looking at?
Yeah. So that's just revenue. So you want to look at your GOP. You want to look at how your GOP is comparing to prior years. And you also want to look at something called flow through.
Okay. So
if you had a budget and let's just say your payroll is expected to be $100,000 and maybe that's based on $200,000 of revenue. Well, let's just say the market went crazy and your revenue jumped up to $300,000. What flow through is how much of that extra $100,000 of revenue are you bringing down to the bottom line as profit? So in order to get that $100,000, which was just in rate, did you hire a bunch more housekeepers or something and then you're not flowing anything, or are you flowing everything? So that's a really key metric. The other one is labor efficiency and booking. Like how big is your sales team relative to the amount of revenue that they're generating and how does that compare to a hotel? Another thing we look at is net operating income per key. So some amazing hotels in South Beach generate $80,000 of net operating income per key. We have some hotels that are doing $20,000 of net operating income per key. It's like, okay, well, why aren't I as profitable? It's probably because your revenue is not big, but it's also because maybe you're missing opportunities on ancillary revenue items that you're not executing on, like resort fees. The president just came out and said he wants to get rid of resort fees. That hotels are charging $90 a night and he's got to get rid of it. I mean, that's what we're focusing on right now. And I can tell you that the 2 hotels I stayed at the past 2 nights, I paid resort fees. And it's just, I got a couple bottles of water and it is what it is. It's the cost of the hotel room. And it's not that big of a deal.
There's much bigger fish to fry.
There's much bigger fish to fry right now. But labor is the most expensive thing in a hotel. So we look very much at labor efficiency. And the interesting thing right now in hospitality is housekeepers are hard to come by. We have immigration issues. Were low-paying jobs. Now they're actually pretty high-paying jobs. But most hotels today are using what's called contract labor. And this is the dirty secret in the hospitality business, because you're paying a company to give you employees. Those might be employees that you couldn't hire directly otherwise. And you're paying them a much higher wage, but that wage is just going to the contract company, and then the employee is getting whatever they're getting, but that's raising the expense in your hotel. So what we're trying to do is figure out, how do we retain people? How do we create a culture that people, where people want to show up to work every day, clean rooms? It's a really hard job. And how do we attract talent? If you want to talk about like the big macro stuff, there's certain programs like the J1 program where you can get amazing hospitality students internationally to come work in the hotel. They do a tremendous job, but we should probably have some sort of a work visa program too, to help fill some of these jobs that are getting filled by people anyways.